Welcome to the Stuff and Things Podcast. Your home for all stuff related to your favorite things in entertainment. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Stuff and Things Podcast. I am Sam. Today we are talking Marvel's What If, the first show of 2024, and joining me, it's Stefan.
But what if I wasn't?
What if, wow, that show, man.
Yeah!
So, let's do podcast admin to begin with. Welcome to 2024 here on the Stuff and Things Podcast. We are back, despite the rumours. We are back. We did a Christmas special, which came out at Christmas, weirdly, in 2023. We've been strangely quiet since then. Had a lot of messages in, which have been interesting, as always. Thank you to all the fun feedback we get. But just recently, the fun feedback has changed to, when are we going to hear your voices again? When are you back? What are you going to be talking about? I'm probably close to 50, 60 emails, just sort of asking when we're coming back, which is nice. Very kind of all of you who got in touch. So to answer that question now, we're back today.
Hello. Yeah.
We are back talking Marvel's What If, the animated series. It is season 2 of the show. It has been renewed for a season 3. We will discuss whether we think that's good or not as we go through this. But mate, we have a tradition on this podcast, one that we adhere to 99% of the time.
And when we don't, we get told off.
Very much so, which is fine. I respect that. That tradition is we say, and the title of the episode was, and when we talk about a series as a whole, we rattle through the episode titles. And I gotta be honest with you, I've never really at any point looked at episode titles and thought, man, that's a cruel thing to do. Because they are ridiculous for the What If series. Like I literally was going through them and I was like, that's insane. That is like...
Yeah.
Because I write out notes, podcast notes, and one of the things I do at the top of all my notes I always do is I write down the episode title, so I have it there, and it's a fun thing trying to catch you out, but I mean, you're wise to it now.
No, you still get me sometimes.
Yeah, but it's rare. I mean, when we first started, it was pretty much weekly.
And the title of the programme was...
No, that's not right. It wasn't, oh shit, I forgot, fuck it. No, none of them.
No.
Our PG rating just went, by the way. With this, we're going to do it, because it's the tradition, and we have to do it, because, the world might end if we don't. So, Stefan, the title of episode 1 was...
Do I have to say what if in all of them, or can I just say, okay, what if Nebula joined the Nova Corps?
Episode 2.
What if Peter Quill attacked Earth's mightiest heroes?
Episode 3.
What if Die Hard was an anime... Oh no, what if Happy Hogan saved Christmas?
Episode 4.
What if Iron Man crashed into the Grand Master?
Episode 5.
What if Captain Carter fought the Hydra Stomper?
Episode 6.
What if Kahori reshaped the world?
And 7.
What if Hela found the 10 rings?
And we're in the home stretch now. Episode 8.
What if the Avengers assembled in 1602?
And ending with episode 9, just to set off my OCD.
What if Strange Supreme intervened?
Oof. That's a podcast in itself. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Yeah. Huh.
So I'm gonna start with this by just saying that I've read loads and loads of reviews for this series because it came out over Christmas, And we decided we were going to do the show in the new year because, it gives everyone a chance to watch it because, let's face it, a lot of people are busy at Christmas and maybe they didn't want to binge watch an animated series. One of the things about this show is that it is canon. So one of the things that, if you're an MCU fan, you've kind of been, not coerced, but kind of, you want to keep an eye on it because... Doctor Strange in the Multiverse, for example, did have a live action version of one of the characters you saw in season 1 of What If.
Yep.
Kevin Feige has discussed, that is canon. Everything you're seeing there is coherent with, concurrent with all things MCU. So, you want to keep an eye on it if you want to stay abreast and stay ahead of everything going on Marvel-wise, cinematic universe. So, we watched season 1 of What If, and I think our main discussion point at the end of it was kind of going into it. We were looking forward to it because we were sort of, this is a really fun concept. When you look at the comic book kind of genre where it's from, where a book tells a story with these set of characters, but then another book could tell a very different story with these set of characters. Doing this what if concept allows you to tell all these other stories, alongside what we've seen inside MCU timeline 616.
Yeah, things like the zombie Avengers.
Yeah.
Now that's something you could probably never get that onto live action, so therefore having that as an animated thing, that's pretty cool.
It was a one-off episode in season 1, and then they commissioned a full series of it, which is coming this year apparently. Or next year now, who knows? Depends if the animators will strike or not. So, one of the things that we discussed with that was, if you can remember back this long, was we kind of had an expectation in our minds of what it was going to be, of just individual, standalone stories in each episode. And it did do that. And it did that a little bit with season 2 as well. Some of it just sort of fun, throwaway stuff. I remember from season 1, the one that always sticks in my mind was if T'Challa had become Star-Lord, and he basically just talked Thanos out of it. He was so charming. Just kind of
Thanos became a barber.
But he basically working in a bar, handing out wisdom. So that was funny. It was kind of light-hearted, and I was like, okay, that's the tone. And one of the things it did in season 1, however, was it created this character, Strange Supreme, and you got a story within the episodes about the Watcher, and the Watcher suddenly Ultron became aware, and you're kind of like, okay, so they're telling these stories, but there's also a story it's building itself. Okay, all right, we're kind of following that. So it goes into season 2, and again, I guess my expectation for season 2 again is stories based on the characters we've seen in the MCU, but different. So like the episode which, like you said, which came out on Christmas, which was basically the MCU's Die Hard with Happy Hogan, Stark Tower. That was a lot of fun. It was a really good laugh. That sort of thing is exactly my expectation for this show. Another episode in this series, which is titled Kahari, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Kahari.
You're possibly right. Apologies, I'm getting this wrong.
Kahari? Yeah, something like that.
That is a character I have never heard of. And I know there's probably comic book fans who are like, oh my god, this is... granted, I will always hold my hands up and say I'm not the biggest comic book person. I love the genre and the translation from comic to film and TV, and there's certain characters, of course, who step off the page that you just know of, but this is one I have no knowledge of at all, and as far as I know, we've had zero mention within the MCU.
Yes.
Yeah, would you agree with me on that?
I had no idea who this character was at all.
Do you find it odd then that in a show where the whole concept is knowing, seeing our heroes but in a different scenario, they've now introduced a character?
Very odd. Very odd way of doing it.
And not only introduced a character in this show, so in an animated format, done it, and by the way, this is another very overpowered character if you look at
yeah.
seriously OP. And you're looking at it and you're kind of basically this show became a storyline with Captain Carter and Strange Supreme. It kind of molded into that. So the show has gone from the format I thought, which was a format of standalone what if scenarios, to now telling its own story, which I guess is a natural progression. But from my point of view, and again, it's purely my opinion, that's not what I signed up for. Does that make sense?
I didn't expect this to be a Captain Carter show.
No,
she's in a lot of the episodes.
So that's an interesting point I've seen made a lot online, which is basically there are other characters in the MCU. Why do you think that? Why do you think that they've centered around? Could it be that she's available for voiceover work, whereas a lot of the other stars are not?
But you know what? That's something I noticed. I was looking out for at the beginning of every episode.
To see who was actually voicing their characters.
Who are the actual characters? I know like Sebastian Stan.
Yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch was on it a lot. Obviously, Hayley Atwell is Captain Carter.
Ruffalo.
Jon Favreau, Mark Ruffalo. They're all the ones that are in there. I was like, that's pretty cool. And then, like Kate Blanchett. I always get her name wrong. Hella. Yeah, she's done her. So I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. Like, a lot of the stars came back to do their voices, which I think was pretty cool. Even Chris Hemsworth does.
Yeah, Robert Downey didn't.
Robert Downey didn't. Chris Evans didn't. The other Chris didn't.
No.
Chris Pratt didn't. No. But yeah, so that for me takes out she was available to do the voiceover work because they've recast other characters.
Yeah, true.
So that then makes me go, why this character? Like, did she get that good a reception being seen in the Multiverse of Madness? They've gone, okay, this is the character everyone loves. Let's keep going.
It's an interesting one because I'm not convinced that that's accurate. I'm not, because I remember that scene in the Multiverse of Madness where basically Wanda rips them all a new one. Yep. My recollection of it and my general feeling from people who watched it was like, here's a group of characters we were all excited to see, and you just bodied them in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Kind of, what was the point in that then? And so I didn't get a massive kind of feeling. I know there's, I quite like seeing sometimes the cinema reaction videos where people are like hollering and going crazy over stuff. And that scene where they're introducing the Illuminati, there is like a big like Captain Carter, hey, and stuff like that. So, I mean, nothing compared to when Charles Xavier wheels his ass on in the yellow chair.
Yeah, that was my point.
Yeah, that whipped up a bit of a frenzy. But it just feels like in this series. So the what if I don't know. It's like they've picked her to be the central character of it. Which okay, if that's what you're going to do. But I think going back to my original point of what I put to you, this show I thought was individual stories, what if scenarios based around stuff we've seen in the MCU. So like, we would see like, okay, what if Ultron had won? We've seen that. What if Tony had not? What if Tony had never become Iron Man? What if he'd never done that? Would that, where would we be? So all of these different scenarios that you could do, and there's thousands. There's thousands of what ifs. What if Clint Barton had taken the shot? The one he says the best shot he ever took was the one he didn't take with Natasha. What if he had killed her?
Yep.
There's countless things that you could look at as a premise, and I know this is all opinion based, and I know opinions are like onions. Some people like them, some people don't. It's going to be split right down the middle. But you just like, for me, that was the show. That was what I thought this was going to be. I don't understand what we're doing now. Is this going to be a show that's building towards a kind of live action, are we going to see these characters? Is it going to stay completely animated in its own little thing? because like you said, Doctor Strange: The Multiverse, we've seen these characters in live action. We've seen different versions of these characters already, and the Strange Supreme character we have seen go from animated to live action and now back to animated again. So yeah, I don't know.
What confused me is when they came out and said, "Right, this is all canon."
Yeah.
For me, that was when I then went, Like, you look at the Happy Hogan Saved Christmas episode, and I'm like, so it's now canon that Happy Hogan at some point in one universe took Hulk DNA and became the world's weirdest version of Abomination / Hulk?
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Like, so that's now a possibility that could actually turn up.
Yep.
Because of the whole multiverse. And I'm like, no, thank you. I liked this not being canon. I liked this being okay, so Captain Carter going into the machine instead of Captain America. That was a fun twist.
Yeah.
And as a episode, I thought that was quite fun because that is what I expected of the What If show. What if one little thing changed and then what happened? So, Iron Man, for example, what if he hadn't been captured in the desert and he had carried on going on to make missiles and everything else?
Yeah.
What would have happened? Would Loki have attacked Earth and then, Tony Stark would have gone, oh, that's fine, send in the missile number X12.
Yeah.
That for me is what I expected of the show, and it was good fun. And then you've got this series where I'm kind of like, okay, so this is we now know obviously it's canon.
Yeah.
So it means everything that now happens, you're kind of looking at it a bit more as if to go, okay, so this could now actually reflect back onto the MCU. Like, Peter Quill attacking Earth's Mightiest Heroes in 1988.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, okay, but devil's advocate. I mean, that is the essence of the multiverse. Them saying all this is canon is like saying all the Fox stuff is canon now. All of that is canon because it just happened in a different branch of the multiverse, which you could easily go cross-eyed trying to wrap your head around it. So quickly.
Yeah. But overall, focusing in on this show, I think both of us are kind of at a place where it's not the show we thought it was going to be, which is always a dangerous thing because when you then try to review it and discuss it, it's difficult because then you have to battle the kind of... do you know where I'm going with this? Like, you kind of got to battle the thing in your head of like, did I dislike it because I didn't think it was good content? Or did I dislike it because I had an idea in my head and it's not that?
I get it. Now, I'll caveat that by saying I actually enjoyed this series more than the first series.
Oh, okay.
However, I enjoyed it by, in my head, making it non-canon.
Why does that make a difference to you?
Only because I think I would go cross-eyed if I was trying to place this all along different timelines and everything. Like, I kind of took this as, that is one episode, I watched it, once I'd watched it, I'm done with it.
Yeah.
Went on to the next episode, watched that episode, once it finished, okay, I'm done with that. Yeah. I think if I was trying to place in that, Tony Stark challenged the Grand Master to a Grand Prix, Destruction Derby sort of thing, and then had to try and go, oh, that actually really happened somewhere, I'd be like, no, my head hurts.
Yeah.
Like, remember when we watched the Loki series and we were looking at all the branches and stuff, and it was like my head hurts.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong.
Like, so,
do
this I kind of watched this as genuinely just a 35-minute episode.
Yeah.
Watch it, bit of fun, finished it, credits, close that book.
I mean, we talked a lot about that with this phase of the MCU where we were genuinely concerned it would be too much. And, we are... I mean, I don't think we can class ourselves as casual fans, but I think for a casual fan of the MCU, it is too much. And I can give a good example of that. Like, my daughter watched every movie. Like, she knew I really liked them. And when she sort of got to an age, I can't remember what age it was now. I think it was like 13 or 14. She said to me, "He's like, oh, can we watch them? Can I watch them all?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course you can. You know, happily watch them with you." And it's like a rewatch for me, which was fun. We watched one like a couple of weeks for countless weeks because there's a lot of them. And we finished Endgame, and she was just like an emotional wreck, right? Because if you think about it, we had all of those films spaced out over like 10 years. She did that in like 10 weeks. So she had this attachment, sorry, mate, to bring this up, but your attachment to Iron Man's pretty strong. And when you lost Iron Man in Endgame, you were somewhat upset about it.
I might have been a little bit like,
Iron Man was my daughter's favourite as well. And when Endgame happened, she was a mess. Like, she was just...
It's only a movie.
I know. I mean, like, awful. To the point I felt guilty. I've introduced her to this, and I've just broken her little heart. I feel bad about this. And she was just like, this never used to happen in kids' shows. I know. I know. Adult TV
this
sucks.
ain't a kids' show, kid. Yeah.
So we kind of, and then we start going into the next phase, and I was explaining it to her, like, this is what's going to happen next. And we watched the film Black Widow. She loved that. She thought that film was great. Loved it. Loved seeing that again. Loved Yelena. Yelena suddenly went from who's that to yay, my new favourite. So that was great. And we watched some of the series together. She watched Hawkeye with me. Yelena popped up again. Over the moon. And then I'm explaining to her about Multiverse of Madness, Ant-Man 3, these films that have come up in the next phase. She has got zero interest. She switched Ant-Man 3 off and said, "This is crap." Her exact words. Multiverse of Madness, she said, I can't. Should have watched it twice. It makes no sense to me. I don't know what's going on. Now, she watched all of the MCU to Endgame and followed everything. Everything the whole way through. Loved it. Everything since then, she watched. I tell you what, she watched Eternals with me and she said it's long, but it's okay. That was her word on that one. Long, a bit slow, but okay. Followed the story, no problem. Like we said, Black Widow followed that, no problem. Thought that was great. But then the stuff that's like the big linking films, like the stuff that's supposed to be building towards something, like the Thanos threat did in the earlier stuff. She's just like, no, I've got no interest. I thought it was nonsense. It just made no sense. And I think that it's a demonstration to me that a casual fan, and we said it's a little bit of a concern that this is too much, too complicated. And and I think you're right. I think if you look at everything we saw in Loki season 2 and kind of, oh no, I've gone cross-eyed trying to wrap my head around that. And then we've got What If, because, again, and I saw someone ask this question online, I thought, man, that's so valid. This is canon, everything in What If. Why aren't the TVA showing up at any point?
Jeez, yeah.
It's like...
Captain Carter is in the wrong multiverse, changing everything. The TVA should be banging that door down.
It's like, we're saying this is all canon, this is all happening... where we've established the TVA exists in Loki and they're out of time, so for all time. And you've then got this other show where they're bouncing in between, doing this, doing that. Don't get me wrong, I know there was a throwaway line about the Avengers, why didn't you stop them? They were time traveling, but that was supposed to happen. So maybe that's their get out of that. But it feels like you have created this monster with this, where you've got so many branches, using the TVA terminology now, going in all these directions. To keep it linked, to keep it coherent. I think it's impossible. I almost feel like they've realised it themselves. Does that make sense? It kind of feels like they've hit this wall themselves of this is impossible. We're just going to tell stories and let them make their own minds up.
Yeah, let's be honest. Some of the fan theory stuff we've seen before has been incredible.
Big time, yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they did turn around and go, let them have some fun with it.
Yeah.
Let them. But yeah, no, that's the other thing. Especially so, going back to this what if stuff. You know, if you're looking at the fact that she went back to, was it 1602?
Yeah, but it
to
was...
undo this stuff, but the TVA and all the characters are there, and Captain America is there, and everything, and it's like, yeah, I didn't even think of the TVA until you just said it, and now I'm like, well, yeah, they should have been really big involved.
Yeah, massively.
And
because that world was collapsing on itself because everything was all mixed up.
Yeah. And then at the same time, like we say, Strange Supreme.
Yeah.
So now we've seen him in the Multiverse of Madness that came out a while ago now.
Yeah.
If this is all canon,
yeah,
where does it fit on the timeline?
Mate, don't. Don't.
Minus the 1602 and Peter Quill going back in 1988, they kind of tell you where they are. But where's the rest of it? I'm like, what?
This is the point where, like I said, it feels like they've just gone, do you know what? We can't do this. We can't just... So we're just going to throw it. And if at any point everyone goes, that makes no sense, we'll go, yeah, well, it's a different universe. And that's kind of how it feels. It just kind of feels like... Because one of the things that I think the MCU did well up to the end of Endgame is I think Kevin Feige and a team of people kept it very tight. Kept it kind of... We have a story we're telling, so you're a director, you make your film, but this is the direction of it because we are all aiming at the same spot, Right, you see that over there? That's the finish line. I've told you all what the finish line is. Yes, you've got freedom, but everything has to be pointed at that. Because if it's not, I'm going to fire your ass and get someone else who will do it. And then we've gone past Endgame, and of course everyone knows that Kevin Feige was working with Lucasfilm. And it's kind of like I don't know, I guess a running theory among the MCU, which is the directors who worked a lot before were then given more freedom. Because like, oh, you know the deal, you've done this before. Thor Ragnarok was a fresh air, a tone which just worked brilliantly and was funny and had heart and told a great story in a film. And it linked brilliantly. Literally the end of that film, Thanos shows up. It linked. Everything about that film worked. Thor Love and Thunder is... It felt like the lunatic was allowed to run the asylum. It felt like there was no one at any point going, that's too much. No, that's funny. That's not. That's too far. And there are loads of rumours about this, and I love some of them. My favourite rumour is, and the more I think about it, the more I think is true, okay? My favourite rumour is that Taika Waititi wanted that film to be a bit more adult, a bit more dark, because he had Christian Bale playing a nasty, vicious character. And apparently, there is a version of a film where you see the God Butcher butchering gods. You actually see that character being nasty, being a villain, being quite intense and doing some nasty stuff. And whoever was keeping an eye on it, Marvel, basically said to him, no, absolutely not. You've got to cut that scene. That's far too dark for kids. And he, in sort of like a protest, then made it into Candy Floss. He basically turned the film into a kind of, all right, fine. If you're not going to let me do that, it's just going to be stupid. It's just going to be dumb. And given I've watched a fair few films he's made, he can do serious. Anyone who's seen, I think it's Bojo Rabbit, that is, there is a lot of silliness in that, but my God, does it punch you in the face? That film really impacts you. It's set in World War II Nazis. And just to give you the premise, the little boy has an imaginary friend, and his imaginary friend is Hitler. So it's stupid, But mate, that the impact of that film. Anyone who's not seen it, please go and watch it. It will make you laugh up to a moment when it just hits you so hard. So he has the capacity as a filmmaker to do it. So the more when I heard that rumor, and the more I sort of read that, the more I thought, do you know what? That's how it felt. It genuinely felt like someone took that film and went, "Oh, fuck you! I'm going to make this stupid. I'm going to make this so stupid. I'm not going to get hired again because I don't want to work with you assholes ever again."
Yeah, like it's even down to the fact of, like, you know, Thanos wiped out the entire race. Let's make a milkshake bar about him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that was one.
Even down to that.
Yeah, when me and you talked about that film, I remember us just looking at that, going, "No, that's the equivalent of like Germany and there being like a Hitler cafe." It literally makes no sense. Like, it's just, that would not happen. Because you got to contrast that with, that was ridiculous and stupid. But then you contrast that with some of the other MCU stuff. Remember, like, the graffiti that said Thanos was right? I thought that was clever. That was smart. Because you can guarantee that there would genuinely be people who were like, when everyone came back, because all the storyline of like Captain America, you know, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I thought was an excellent premise of, right, all these people vanished, you've had 5 years, the world adjusted, everyone's now living, and then all these people came back. Well, you know, I'm living in this house. Yeah, okay, you lived in it before, but now I live in it, you know? And
I've purchased this house, this is mine.
And all these people moved to different places to work, and all of a sudden the work was gone, because all these people, you know, it was just a really interesting concept of, wow, yeah, that's actually, you can imagine. And when you saw, like, the graffiti, Thanos was right, and you saw it in Hawkeye as well, because you remember Hawkeye spotting it in the urinal and being like, what the fuck? Yeah, I like that. That was smart. That was clever. That was kind of you know, you can really picture that. But then a cafe, Thanos, no, that wouldn't happen. Just why would that happen? Just, it makes no sense at all. So it was nonsensical. And again, circling all the way back now, if you are telling a what if story, so for example, and that was a one-off episode on What If, me and you would have laughed our heads off and then done, wouldn't we? If you think about it. If you think about Thor Love and Thunder for a minute and put it as a 30-minute animated with stupid Thanos cafe and it was just comedy, we'd have thought, oh, this is really funny. This is really funny.
Yeah.
But
a bit over the top.
Yeah, but that's what you'd think of it with an animated show called What If, wouldn't you? That's kind of your concept of what this is going to be. Yeah. You know, I'm not expecting, when I'm watching this, I'm not expecting this to be hard hitting. I don't know, perhaps it's a perception from me. I've said this before. When it comes to animated, I don't automatically think kids show with animated anymore. The Star Wars Clone Wars just destroyed that concept for me. Like,
well, yeah.
Animated's for kids. Oh my god, this is not for kids. Anakin just put that lightsaber through that guy's face. But when it comes to I do, I guess, have a little preconception of this isn't going to be as hard hitting for me as you know, a drama, live action, and especially with the concept of what if, of what I considered it to be, which is throwaway little stories, what if scenarios that are just standalone and then done. Like you said, like the way you felt season 2 in your mind, that's how I thought the whole concept was going to be. Just like we did a comic once which was Captain America joins Hydra. He becomes, you know, Captain Hydra. Okay, great. Show me that. You know,
show me that in an episode. That'd be great.
That'd be perfect. That'd be great. I'd love that. That'd be really interesting. That'd be fun. And then it's done. And it's done, because there are so many comic books, so many stories. I just don't get it. But so again, apologies. I know I've gone on a bit of a rant with that. Why do you think they've introduced a new character into this? So again, what if for me was, what if this person you know, and you know their story, did something different? So why?
So it worked with Doctor Strange because we already knew Doctor Strange.
Exactly.
So seeing different variants of Strange, that was fine. To introduce a character like Kahori, now, I'm probably saying the name completely wrong, and there'll be a comic book fan somewhere slating me for
apologies.
this. But this is a character that, like I said, she seems to be incredibly overpowered.
Yep.
Like, the ability she's got like half of the Eternals rolled into one.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, so you're very, very powerful. We've now seen 2 or 3 characters be added into it during this phase.
Yep.
Which you have to look at and go, wow, you are seriously powerful.
Yep.
And for them to add, not just to add a character newly into this show, but to add a character that, unless you are a comic book, like a big comic book fan, you're not going to have any idea who it is as well. That seems strange. Like, if they'd have introduced, I don't know, Miles Morales, for example,
Yep.
into this. Now, even like a casual Marvel fan would know, oh, there's a PlayStation game about him.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of animated movies by Sony about him. Yeah. He's not been in the MCU before, so it would still be introducing a new character.
Mate,
the casual fan would know who it is.
Very quickly on this, just wanted to bring this up to you, and anyone listening, we have listeners all around the world, so please check this and let me know. Do you remember a while ago Disney did the deal with Sony where they could add the Spider-Man films to Disney Plus? They're gone.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, I can't find them. I went on there the other day and there's Spider-Verse. Everything on there is animated. Because it had the 2 Tom Holland films on there before. It had the Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield. They're gone. On my Disney Plus in the UK, I cannot find them. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm old. I could be being a right blind, thick idiot. So could everyone check for me?
I'm loading it up. I'm loading it on my phone as we speak.
Do you have Disney Plus on your phone?
Heck, I have 3 children and car journeys. I have Disney Plus on my phone.
I love that. I have 3 children and car journeys. I have Disney Plus everywhere.
Yeah, so Spider-Verse is Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame, animated. That's
They're
it.
not there. They were there.
Where?
I'm not imagining it, am I?
No.
No. Okay.
They were there.
Yeah. Sorry. It was just you were talking about Miles Morales and it just triggered in my mind. It just reminded me I meant to bring that up. Yeah. Everyone, wherever you are in the world, check your Disney Plus for me and let me know if it's still there. I'm going to have to Google it and just ask, like, why have they gone? It would seem really odd to me that they do this deal, a license for it, and it would only be, like, for 4 months or something. That seems really dumb.
Well, the fact that even, like, Homecoming is gone.
Yeah. Yeah, surely the deal would have been it goes on Disney Plus and it stays on Disney Plus. But no, they're gone. All of them.
Why is Spider-Man no longer on?
Whilst he is Googling that to answer that question live on the podcast, I will take this opportunity to say, if you really enjoyed the What If series, please do get in touch with us and lay out, we're not trying to slate it or anything like that, and certainly never having a go at anyone who enjoys something. So get in touch, point out what you enjoyed about it, and maybe it'll change our minds. Because I don't think either of us are saying we didn't enjoy a lot of the episodes. It's just like the concept seems to have shifted and it's a bit odd to us, I think, is the general feel. Also, whilst he's looking that up, our next show of 2024 will be about the Marvel Disney Plus show, Echo. It was a 5-episode mini-series. They released all the episodes at once, and yeah, we will be talking about that next. Stefan, what have you found?
Yes. Nothing!
Bizarre, isn't it? Like, I'm not imagining this. They were all there. Just like...
Yeah, they were all there. And there is nothing on Google at all.
Yeah.
All I've got on here is that, the newest film isn't coming out onto it yet.
Yeah, we knew that. Yeah, but none of them are there. It's just like... Yeah, so okay, right. I've not lost my mind. I will tweet at Disney Plus UK later today and ask the question and see if I get an answer. Sometimes that works. Most of the time it doesn't. But
apparently apparently, I found out they were removed back in August.
Wow.
There's been no official announcement regarding the removal of the Spider-Man movies, but licensing challenges are more than likely the cause, given that Sony do still own these and Disney only received a license to stream them.
Yeah.
So it may have been a short-term license to hype up the latest movie.
Oh, that's so dumb. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
But there you
That's
go.
what it is.
So,
okay, well,
back
that answers the question then.
Full circle, back
Yeah.
to where I was.
Um,
To then enter a character like Kahari,
Yeah.
who no one has any idea of if you're not a comic book fan, seems really strange.
No, I agree with you. Especially if it then...
That was a tangent and a half, wasn't it?
That was... We are the kings of tangent, by the way. That is... We are without a shadow of doubt. Now, I'm doing this on the podcast to put a bit of pressure on you because I'm mean like this. Our next show is going to be about Echo. Do you think you're going to be able to make the show? Because I know you're a bit behind on watching.
I am... So, basically, our next show for Echo is being recorded very, very soon.
It is, yes.
I had a very busy Christmas period travelling back and forward from old house to new house and everything else.
Yeah, sorry, mate. I can't hear you over the excuses. What was...
Yeah, I am trying my best to catch up. I was meant to watch 2 episodes last night, but unfortunately I had a poorly child. Which meant they didn't go to bed until it was time for me to fall asleep.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. So I am going to try my best to get it all watched.
Please do, because I feel that the main reason for it, right? Kaylee is going to be joining us. She's the Marvel super fan. She has watched them, and Kaylee's going to be joining. Now, if it's me and Kaylee, the only problem with that is Kaylee has never watched the Daredevil series, and because of that, it's going to be very difficult for me to talk. I'm going to be like, oh, the Daredevil cameo and Fisk and Daredevil Born Again, and she's just going to be like, yeah.
What?
Yeah. So get the stepping, get the watching. God, it's not like you got anything else to do with 3 kids and a business to run. I don't know what you do with your time, to be honest with you.
No, I don't know what happened to time.
Everyone listening to this who's got a kid would have just had a kind of involuntary, yeah, when you said that. Well, I don't know what's happened to time.
Yeah, it's like I got the 1-year-old. It seems to be the hardest one.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
Some days she sleeps, some days sleep is for the weak. Yeah.
She's my little angel. I won't hear you say anything bad about her.
No.
my little hero. Or
some days she's a Padawan, some days she's a Sith.
Yeah. Sometimes she's Captain America, sometimes she's Hydra. Yeah.
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
Mate, is there anything else you wanted to say on the What If series? Because we've gone off on massive tangents, which we do, and people who listen know that. So, but is there anything else you want to sort of say to wrap this up?
I don't think so. I will put out. Like I said, I did actually enjoy.
Okay.
Watching these, and I've got an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
I classify them as my children, but they've got a different dad, which confuses a lot of people.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah, they're my stepchildren, but they are my children. They just have a different dad.
Yep.
I actually let them watch a few episodes of this, and they loved it.
Well, target audience reach, perhaps we're too
I'm
old.
hoping 8 and 6. I'm hoping isn't the target audience for this.
Perhaps we're too old. But perhaps this is it. Perhaps this is the sign we're too old for comic book stuff.
We're now too old for comic. But it made me laugh because the reason they loved it so much, is they have only seen 3 Marvel films.
Guardians
of the Galaxy 1.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Okay.
We ran out of time for the second one. And Ant-Man.
Oh, okay.
They are the 3 movies that they have so far sat down and watched. They haven't even seen the Spider-Man Tom Holland's yet.
Wow.
Not that I'll watch it on Disney Plus now, but you know.
No, they're on Netflix, I think.
Other
streaming services are available.
Yeah, quick.
I'm not getting in trouble again.
Not that again, no. So therefore, they know these characters because I talk about them. I've got the Funko Pops. Please sponsor us.
Yeah, they
Up
said
around
no.
the house. I know.
They said stop
so
emailing.
Oh, so sad. So sad.
Yeah.
But I've got all this stuff around the house. I've got a tattoo on my leg. They know the characters.
Yeah.
So for them to be watching this and seeing, you know, Iron Man racing cars in the desert on a plan, and to see all this, the kids really enjoyed it. And I'm like, maybe that's what I should have done. I should have just watched it as just, this is just fun.
To be honest with you, mate, I think they're right. I think through the eyes of kids, we often see the truth of things, and I think perhaps I overthought it, and that's why I didn't enjoy it. But because the funny thing is, the episode I enjoyed, because here's a question for you. What was your favourite episode of season 2?
Oh.
I'll tell you mine.
Do you know what?
I'll tell you mine because
Go
I'm putting on you. Happy Hogan Saves Christmas. 2 reasons. One, I did watch it on Christmas, so it was nice. 2, it was just it was just such a throwaway, silly story that any adult, well, that's Die Hard, but it's funny.
Yes,
it's funny, and it had like a fun little voice cameo from probably my favourite woman in the whole MCU because she's so beautiful. So it was fun. Like that whole episode for me was fun. I didn't overthink it. It was just throwaway. That was just a throwaway episode, which is what I thought all of this was going to be. So that was my favourite. What about you?
I think mine was actually probably the very first episode.
Nebula joins the Nova Corps.
The Nebula Nova Corps.
Yeah, that had a lot to it.
It was a bit different.
It was very different. What was your least favourite? See,
probably
the way I word that is to say, what's your least favourite rather than which one did you hate and think sucked?
Mine is probably Iron Man crashing into the Grandmaster.
Oh,
which is strange as I am such an Iron Man fan.
Yeah.
But that was just a weird episode.
Well, mine was Avengers Assembled in 1602, so that was stupid.
That was weird. But every single episode had moments that had me laughing out loud.
Well, you can't ask for more than that then, mate. That's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, that was the main thing. I laughed out loud, and the kids laughed at some of it. I'm not sure if they laughed because I was laughing or because it was funny. I mean, but the kids laughed as well.
So just the last point then, the last question, which is the big thing. It has been renewed for season 3. Do you think that season 3 comes round, you'll be sat watching it?
Yeah, because you'll make me podcast.
I will. I'm such a bastard.
But no, I will watch it.
And watch it with the kids by the sound of it.
Yeah, watch it with the kids, and I will go into it with the same thing of, do you know what? I'm just going to watch it for a bit of fun.
All right, perfect.
And if a character from this then appears in the MCU, I can then go, oh, cool, that's from that episode.
Yeah.
But apart
that's
from that,
why we're here, people.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch it going, oh, I must try and follow it all to what links up. I'm just going to watch it, have fun, and then if they appear, happy days.
Well, you're better than me because I went completely cross-eyed. But that is our show. Massive thank you to everybody for listening, like always. We hope that you enjoyed the What If series. Get in touch with us. You can contact us via all of our socials. You can get in touch via email, sam@stuffandthangspodcast.com, because I'm the only one who checks them. I then distribute them, though. So if you send an email to me that you want Stefan to read, I will show him, and I do. Especially when you sick perverts send in pictures. And the stuff people are sending in to Kaylee, stop it. No. Bad humans.
Sorry.
Yeah, especially you. You should know better. You've got our number, man. Why email me? But yeah, I like the way you shaved it. And so, lastly, she's on fire, people. But lastly, listen out for the show Echo. We are doing that next. And then for the Stuff and Things podcast, we've got a busy year ahead. We will be discussing in February the OG for us, The Walking Dead returns. Rick and Michonne are back, the ones who live. Of all the spin-offs, this is the one I've been looking forward to the most, and I've been looking forward to the longest. So, yeah, very much looking forward to that. That'll be in February. Keep an eye on our socials. We will be putting out everything we're discussing. This year, we will also be taking on yet another streaming service with fantastic content. and that is Apple TV. And part of that, we will be giving away a year's subscription to Apple TV if anyone is interested. So we will let you know about that again via the socials. If you'd like to chat to us on a more one-to-one level and go back and forth with like-minded fans, a select group in fact, you can join our Discord server. The link to that will be in the podcast description. How did that sound? Does that sound good?
That sounds very professional.
Thank you. Yeah, and then I ruined it by asking how it sounded, didn't I?
A little bit.
Never
It
mind.
sounded professional.
Yeah, well, you can't have it all. From me, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for everyone who does send in stuff to us. Everything either makes me laugh, makes me feel a bit ill, or just generally is much appreciated. Until next time, everybody, you all take care.
See you later.
Thank you for listening to the Stuff and Things podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. You can find us on Facebook or online. Simply search the Stuff and Things podcast to join in our conversation every week.